Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV. Let's secure, proceed, and get underway. Have you ever dreamed about partnering with the right team and building a breakout company in the fast-changing tech industry? Today's podcast guest, Elyse Dickerson, has done just that. She is the co-founder and CEO of Eosera, Inc., a Dallas-Fort Worth-based minority woman-owned biotech company. Elyse shares her unique experience as a female entrepreneur in biotech and Eosera's unique and impressive growth story. Eosera is ranked number 753 on Inc. magazine's list of America's fastest growing private companies and has achieved an impressive 3-year growth revenue of over 650%. Elyse Dickerson also shares advice on penetrating the huge retail store distribution net channel, as she has gotten their Eosera's ear care products into over 13,000 stores. So greetings, Elyse Dickerson. Say hello to the Home Business Podcast audience. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Thanks. We're fascinated with startup stories like this. I usually ask where someone's located, but you put that in your press release and you're a Dallas Fort Worth based in the Texas neck of the woods then.
That's right.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess I hear Austin's a sort of a startup hub, but then there's a lot of business activity.
A lot of biotech in Dallas Fort Worth.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
So you kind of hubbed there just because that's one of the the biotech hubs also. Okay. Well, let's get to know you better. How did you find yourself as a top female entrepreneur in the biotech field?
So I, after getting my MBA, I spent 13 years at a big pharmaceutical company and worked my way up through the organization. Started in as a associate marketing manager and worked my way up and eventually was running a global business that was about $2 billion worth of business. Left in 2015 after being fired. And that's how I found my way into entrepreneurship.
Well, that's honest.
Absolutely. They don't teach you in business school that you can have a job one day and be out of a job the next. And so every time I speak, I share the honest truth that, companies lay off all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You can be one of those. And so you've got to have a plan B, or you got to just dust yourself off and figure out what you're going to do next.
Yeah, so, it ends up really being a lot of reason why people, gravitate in like you do into running their own businesses, because you see it so many times where people get emotionally attached to the company they work for and the relationships, and then, oh no, one day they walk in and they're gone and they realize it was all an illusion. You're just there, you're a widget in the wheel, and once no longer they need it for whatever, they just pull widgets out and put other ones in. And so you learned that lesson, but I think everybody learns that
at some point
place in life. And you're also one of those feared MBAs. Oh no. Yeah, I got to admit to getting one of those. When I was in the military, I went to night school. So, I don't know about you, but I didn't really learn anything directly applicable from the MBA, but I think they're just principles they teach you that, they just kind of ways of thinking through problems. So, I'm glad I did that, but it sounds like it set you up for an interesting story here. And let's learn a little bit more about this. You have built an innovative company. Tell us a little about Eosera, and its product line.
Sure. So we started with one product target. We spent some time talking to doctors, trying to understand some unmet medical needs. And so our first product was for earwax impaction. And it turns out that millions and millions of people go see their doctor every year to have earwax removed. And we thought, you know what, there has to be a better way, and you have to be able to do this at home. So our first product was Earwax MD. And once we had success with that, we launched in 2017. And once we had success there, we went back to the medical community and said, what are other ear care issues that we could potentially address with over-the-counter products. So now Eosera has 10 products in the ear care space, all sold over the counter, but everything from drops for pain and itch and earwax to our newest EarView MD, which is
So you kind of diversified as you needed to,
Yeah.
based on the feedback you're getting. So, it might not be the most glamorous product, it's not, you're not another one of those 500 people selling CBD, but it's, this is a solid market that has, wide appeal. And it's realistic then, based on the feedback you were getting when you went out and talked to people in the industry.
Absolutely.
Huh. Well, you partnered with a highly technical company and a technical PhD, the CSO Joe Griffin. What were some of the challenges to building a team? When you have different and divergent backgrounds, technical backgrounds like this.
So Joe and I worked, he worked for me at Alcon, our previous employer, and he spent 15 years in R&D there. And he was kindly asked to leave about the same time I was. So we had worked together hand in hand for about 10 of those years. And so when we started this company together, we knew that our skill sets completely balanced each other out. He had the technical side, I had the commercial side. And I think that's really important starting a company, is to understand your roles and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, that sounds like a good mix. Every time I've interviewed two people that are working, have partnered in one way or the other, they always bring, if it's successful, they always bring a different background. Like, you wouldn't want to partner with another commercial person because then you wouldn't have the technical you need. And, he's got the technical, but then you've got to, if it's not going to work commercially, you've got to make it work commercially. So that seemed to be a common ingredient that you bring in, that there's 2 or 3 real critical areas that you need, and those are covered with the people that you bring in with different skill sets. So, to break out as a fast growing small business, you do need a good team. So beyond the two of you, do you have any advice on team building and building a good startup team?
Yeah, so your needs change over time. So we started literally officing out a corner bakery and some lab space that we had rented. We're now.
You said a corner bakery, or?
Yeah, the Corner Bakery is a chain of restaurants nationwide, and so we would meet there every day, and that would be our office. So just to sort of, for perspective,
bakery-based business. I love it.
Right.
So you needed a place to meet, and so you would just kind of meet and have breakfast there
every day.
Okay,
that became our office. Yeah. So instead of your garage. Right. It was just a neutral place that we could.
Now I have to change the title for this podcast: Bakery-Based Tech-Preneur. That's fascinating.
Fast forward a few years, and we have now 20,000 square feet. We manufacture all of our own products. So what you need in a team day one is very different from what you need from a team as you scale. And so we started with a core team of about 5 people. Now we have a team of closer to 20 people. And the most important thing we do is make sure that the person aligns with our values. And that sounds kind of silly, but if you're not all on the same page in terms of why you do business, things can fall apart really quickly.
So it sounds like you kind of get started and you have to figure out how to make it go and get a few core people together, and you build a good team. But as you grow and you got to bring more people in, it becomes a challenge with aligning people to what you're trying to do along with the values.
Correct.
And it used to be, that finding the right talent was not that big of a challenge. Now it's become a big challenge. So I imagine, finding good talent and then keeping good talent is also a challenge too, as you build teams.
Yeah, I'll say keeping talent hasn't been our problem. We've had to make tough decisions. So we've certainly let people go that weren't a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
But once we get them in and they are a good fit, we have very little turnover, and we put them through a very rigorous hiring process. So we see their level of commitment sort of before we even make an offer, which has proven successful so far.
Yeah, you want to do the due diligence ahead of time. Just have to ask questions like this with the new COVID world and all. Do you work in a distributed work environment where it's sort of part-time home-based, or always in the office? Or I hear so many different ideas for putting together an office and making it work now.
So it depends on the functionality. So if you're in, a job that you could do from home, then we have the flexibility to work from home, part-time. But if you're in a manufacturing role or quality role that, you need to be overseeing production on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, you can't
work from
be
home.
like zooming in to check on
No.
product. So yeah, there used to be a saying that if you're virtual, you're virtual, but now, the whole work environment is changing. And I guess I was surprised that after COVID has started to waver a little bit, there's just not a mad rush to go back to the office. Every company needs to work out some kind of a different blended operation. So I think we're still trying to figure that out. At least getting product penetration into large retail chains is a huge challenge, and it's admirable when you can achieve success with that. What are some of the success factors you can share with us on getting your product into store shelves as successfully as you have?
Yeah, so we were in nationwide CVS and Rite Aid and big drug chains and food stores. And what I can say is, if you have a product that is differentiated and that fills a gap in the category, it's much easier to communicate why a buyer in a retail store needs your product. Retailers reset their shelves once a year, so you have to hit their cycle.
Just a question on that. Is it kind of the same time of year for each one of them, or it just varies with ever? Okay.
It varies. But so like I've recently presented to 10 new retailers, and we'll be cycling through now their reset process and hopefully get into some of them. But showing why there's a need and a gap in their category really is the key to getting on the shelf.
So a lot of people have the challenge, and they're trying to put another brand of toilet paper into a retail outlet, which is already, in your case, you have an innovative product, and there may have been a need that wasn't being met with a retail outlet's current product line. And that's been kind of more the angle you've had to achieving success with that.
Absolutely. And then, packaging matters. And so doing packaging testing and making sure, it's something that consumers want to pick up off the shelf. And, a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about that, but it makes a difference. And
I've had to learn that in the world of magazines, in that I would think, what I would initially think on the packaging, which is the cover, is doing this and doing that and making a good case for the magazine. And they came in and said, scratch all of that, walk in with a split-second subconscious decision. And that's what drives the buyers in this for magazines. I imagine in your case, it's different. You don't have a lot of time, but you got to get across what the value is on the product that you're selling.
That's right.
Well, most product sellers end up at Amazon one way or the other. At least, do you have any advice on achieving better results with Amazon? Yeah, I can see you had a lot of success selling on Amazon.
Yeah, so Amazon's a huge part of our business. I would say take control of your products from day one. So you can, there's a whole avenue called Seller Central, where you're controlling your product listings, your pricing, your brand. And that's really key to do that up front, because if you lose control of your brand, there's no telling what's going to happen. Other sellers are selling it for crazy prices, and they're misrepresenting your products. So gaining control up front is key.
Also, other people selling your product on Amazon, you have to maintain control of that?
It's certainly beneficial to.
Okay, I didn't even see that one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Is that so? What you're saying, that the key thing there is that you've got to put processes in place to control it from the start to make sure it doesn't get away from you?
Yeah. So an example is a third-party seller. They might set up your profile on Amazon for your product.
Okay.
And they don't know what should be written, the bullet points or the descriptions that should be written. And so it can be very inaccurate. And so you want to be proactive because it's going to end up there, just like you said. So when you launch a product, you need to immediately go set it up, set up the profile, own the brand. And there's a lot of process behind that. Amazon makes it pretty easy if you follow their process, but it can be, it feels overwhelming.
Is that something you need to police a lot and to make sure it's not getting out, like checking it all the time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good points to share. I hadn't really heard that angle on Amazon, but that's some good things to be aware of too. I guess number one, get it out there right with the right control. And I guess, is that kind of also tie in with your product trademarks?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then keep an eye on it as it's going.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite question for our interview: what's the day like in the fast-paced, dynamic world of a female biotech-preneur?
So no day is the same. There's so many different facets because we do the manufacturing and the distribution, but we also do product development and, thinking about the future. So my day-to-day responsibilities change based on what's happening in terms of if we're launching with a new retailer or we're scaling up new production, that may need a little bit more of my time. But overall, the CEO job is really to think about the future.
Right. What the strategic direction you need to go in and how to kind of move the ship in that direction.
Exactly. And that's what I love. So.
Well, like I say, they have a saying in the military, every plan is only good till the first shot is fired. So it sounds like you probably make a plan on 5 o'clock and come in the next morning and you've got to shift your rudder and go into something else.
Yep. It's just, that's being an entrepreneur, I think. And you got to just keep getting back up. You're going to get knocked down a million times and keep getting back up.
I think you get knocked down 10 times for every one time you get a good stand up again. So you just got to keep, at least that's been my experience. Well, part of that CEO job is growth and moving towards growth. So building on your high growth sales requires investing in, new products and sales expansions. At least, what is in Eosera's future? Anything you can share?
Yeah. So we're just now launching into the nasal category. With a brand called Nosewell. So that's where we're headed next. We've sort of maxed out the product opportunities within ear care and, ear, nose, and throat is all connected there. So that's where we're going. So
that's a really good point to bring out. When you diversify, it might not be something direct, but you want to, if you can, I guess, would you say, expand in a related product?
Right.
So I think
exactly.
there's a relationship there, and it's probably some of the same. I think when you go to your retail outlets, a lot of that could even almost be packaged together in the way you're marketing. So you're capitalizing on the value of having a related product.
Right.
Well, do you have any final advice on how to succeed as a female entrepreneur, regardless of the industry you're in?
Well, I think for any entrepreneur, the biggest bit of advice I can give is everybody has fear. And the key is to be able to step through the fear, surround yourself with really positive people that believe in you and your mission and go for it.
I got to ask every entrepreneur this: are you an optimist or a pessimist?
Optimist, 100% optimist.
Yeah, I admit to everybody I'm a pessimist. I think the military builds that into it. And I say it's not like I'm negative. You're trained to wake up in the morning and see what can go wrong. So you have to have a negative view. So I'm sure you look at, what can go wrong also every day.
every
you
day.
keep the positive spin on it. So
Yep.
that's
There are
okay.
opportunities.
That's opportunity. Just want to circle back one thing. I meant to ask it earlier because there are a lot of global supply chain disruptions, and there's something like 100 cargo ships bottled up on the West Coast. Has distribution suddenly become a problem? Is taking longer to get products out, or are you just
Yes.
kind of working with that day to day?
So distribution from our warehouse to stores has not been interrupted, but we bring a lot of our componentry in from China. And that's where we've seen a huge slowdown, and we've seen, huge tariffs placed on our goods or our equipment, which is, it eats a small company alive.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had to expand our timelines and our dollars.
So it just sounds like you got to wake up in the morning, and that's one of the problems you didn't anticipate and just plan for it. I guess if you plan for it ahead of time and not get overrun by it, it'll be easier to manage, because you can't control shipping. All you can do is work with it.
Right.
Well, Elyse Dickerson, this has been a great discussion about the world of a biotech-preneur. Do you have any final points you would like to share?
No, it's been great. Reach out to us, eosera.com. And, if we can help in any way, we love to help other businesses succeed.
Well, thanks. You've proven that you can achieve a lot of success. It doesn't matter how glamorous the product is. What matters is how well you run the business and get it out there, and partnering with the right team. And looks like you're checking all the boxes there. So thanks for joining us today on the Home Business Podcast. To learn more about Elyse Dickerson and her company, visit eosera.com. That's eosera.com, or our podcast website for more information on guests. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com. Visit the website for information on advertising. Subscribe to our newsletter. Read the Home-Based Business Startup Guide. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the homebusinessexpo.com. I'm Richard Kettenhausen saying anchors away. We'll talk with you soon. Until then, make it a great home-based biz day.